Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out. With your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, day 2 of straight pumping. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Hello.
Oh my goodness, who's that?
Have we been hacked? Who is
I
on
think
this
so.
line?
I think.
Howdy, boys. Howdy.
Hey!
Hey, man.
How y'all?
Heard
How we
your
doing?
beautiful voice in such a long time.
I did not realize how actually long it's been. I was sitting there looking at my record, and it's like, oh, the last time you've been on here was here. And I'm like, oh, whoops. So
It's all good,
hello.
coaching boy. Very
Co-
hectic lifestyle.
Yeah.
The life of a coach.
What are you coaching
And
these
also
days?
the life of a dude that's about to be married. So that's also just all the hectic sprinkles right on top of there.
So,
Fair enough.
Yeah, when's the last? So I guess like kind of right before football season started, I was coaching softball, and then they had me announce all the football games, like all the home football games of like number 85, blah blah, blah on the tackle.
Did you feel like Coach Matheson?
Yeah.
No, I was way more energetic.
Oh, good.
and little things like that, because when I interviewed here at my school like a long time ago, the athletic director was like, "You have a really nice voice." I was like, thank you."
Thanks
He's like,
for
"Have you
having
ever
a
thought about
podcast.
announcing?" I was like, "No." And he's like, "When you get closer to football season, I'll holler at you." Like, oh, okay. So I was coaching fast pitch softball, and then announcing the home football game, which up and down season, kind of crazy. And then that football season ended not abruptly, but kind of abruptly. And then they're like, "Hey, you want to do basketball?" I'm like, "Hard no. I can't do basketball. It does not bode well with me." And they're like, "All right, well, we'll get you." And so doing some off season coaching stuff here and there, and then they're like, "Hey, we have a county tournament. We like you do. We'll pay you for it." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Well, Shelby will be gone. She's doing her stuff. Yeah, no, extra money, sure, I'll do it." And well, it turns out it was the Soggy Nation county tournament, and all of the high representatives of the Muskogee Nation tribe were there. And so I was announcing all these games, just bam, 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 having a blast. And it's you do the starting lineup, you welcome people, and then I kind of just stayed and would be like, "Number 5, blah 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 from downtown," and then just kind of go back and forth from the team and announce and do stuff like that. And then the Muskogee Nation's like, "Hey, we're gonna call you in the future." I was like, "Oh, what on earth did I do?" I didn't expect to actually do anything else. So then it transitioned into baseball season. Then the coaches that were coaching softball were what's a nice way to put it? Dismissed of duties. And they go to me and the other assistant, who was one of the other, because at one point in time we had 4 coaches for baseball, and they're like, "Hey, we're doing a coaching change. Would you be interested in taking over softball for slow pitch? Because in Oklahoma you have fast pitch kind of during the same time as football season, and then you have slow pitch at the same time as baseball season, which Oklahoma and Missouri are the only 2 states that do that. So it's a little weird." And they're like, it's a little sad. It takes away from baseball, but yeah, sure, we'll do it. And then it's just like go ever since. Work on the field, because it's essentially winter time and it's always raining, constantly, just so much rain. And so we had rain. We had to take care of stuff. Had my bachelor party recently, which was down in Oklahoma City. We just went and hung out and played games and watched the baseball game, and then it's just been back to the grind. And the last 2 days we had, thankfully not today, but Monday and Tuesday we had 6 games. And
I'm sorry, did you say 6?
yes.
What?
Why?
Because they're
why
like,
so
oh,
many?
hey, the weather's gonna get bad. Let's just play a 3-way, which our school will play a different school, that school will play a different school, and then we'll play that third school. And there's this little round robin thing that people are like, oh, we can, do a time limit on these things. And then the junior high got our first win, so I get my first win under our belt. And then high school is still winless. I'm trying to run like a Twitter page for our softball team, which I'm like, oh, high school kids definitely don't use Twitter anymore. But college coaches love Twitter for some reason. And so I'm kind of trying to balance that and get people in and on. So that's been kind of in the summary of what life has been like down here for the past while. So yeah. I get average time of getting home is like 8:00 sometimes. Yesterday I didn't get home till about 10:30, 11. Monday I didn't get home till about 11:30. And yeah, the week before that was even worse because we had a tournament all day that we played, and I was sunburnt and tired, and then I had to drive to Oklahoma City and then work on the field for 1,000 hours and grossly covered in mud. And yeah, that's been life down here for us so far. So hello.
Man, well, that's very exhausting sounding. Like
so you are. So where do you stand now in the season?
So we're in slow pitch season right now.
Like, did it just start, or like, is it in the middle, or like what?
So right? It's kind of at the beginning.
Okay.
We've played how many games? We're 1-5, maybe. But there's also been a lot of games that have been canceled because of like the weather, or one of the other schools' coach just like went into labor this morning, and they're like, "Hey, we wouldn't play anyway." And we're like, "Oh, hey, yep, fair enough. Go do your thing." So we haven't played a lot of games because everyone in our area is kind of in the same situation or same boat where like you take care of the field, you drag it, you get it dry, then
your coach just has a baby, just how it goes.
Yeah, here's 5 inches of rain. Go for it. And it's like, oh, cool, okay. So we're all of us kind of down here are on the same thing. We're trying to get turf. Our school has been, saying that we're supposed to get turf for the last like while, and it's like, hey, I have to wear my muck boots every single day to school. I work on the field in the morning, so I'd like to know when we're getting turf. But other than that, I mean, it's usually just one constant thing after another, and then yeah. So we're relatively early in the season so far of just people getting games started. Baseball season also starts at the same time, so they're also in the same boat of, well, we don't know if we're going to be able to play games because whoever cancel or whatnot. So there's a lot of people who are just doing kind of the same stuff as we are right now.
None of that sounds fun. It's apparently also been raining a lot more down there than it has up here, so that is upsetting to hear. I'm sorry about that. Soggy softball doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun.
Ooh, sounds like a whole other game.
That's true. You need a whole different rule set for that. You gotta.
It's awful. Like we had to cut all these. If you look at our field, it's like a river system. Which I told the other coach we didn't have the science class come out here so they can learn about how erosion works and how rivers move, because we'll cut a river to drain the field, and then just after so much water moves the dirt around, it's like, oh, check this out, and we cry more because of it. But the point is, it's nice to see. It's like, oh, look at this river, and look how it naturally flows. And we're kind of drain it and hand pump. No electric pump, hand pump, like thousands of gallons of water off our field.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, no, it's after our tournament, we got home at back to the field at about 1-ish, and then from about 1 o'clock to 5, we spent hand pumping and raking and squeegeeing the field to get the water off. Played one game. No, we played 2 games, and then the next day, yesterday, it just dumped so much water on the field from rain. So we're not playing any more games this week because we have what is it called? Spring break next week, and so we're just gonna let the field sit. We're gonna let's do a thing, dry it naturally, and then we'll hopefully try to play a game.
Sounds like you might as well just have a hairdryer out there for all the good it's doing you, right? Just like,
well, yeah.
Yeah, have you thought about setting out those fans that they put on in flooded buildings? Just kind of roll that across?
Well, that's not a bad idea, but everything else around it is flooded, and knowing our luck, something will catch fire.
Could put them on inflatable rafts and just zoom around on them.
I think we call that a hovercraft, Brandon.
Yeah, homemade hovercraft.
I think what we're learning is so break out an old copy of Boys Life magazine and get the...
Oh my gosh, Boys Life! Holy cow! What in the world? Wow!
See if you can find the hovercraft made from a vacuum cleaner in the back of that.
That's an imprint memory right there. Boys.
I was gonna make a Junkyard Wars reference, but
yes, also acceptable.
Also acceptable.
I called Dad and I was telling him about it. And he's like, "Oh, well, I have one of those
shop vac. Just get the shop vac.
billboard tarps, don't you?" And I'm like,
"Oh yeah,
no, Dad, I did not know that you had a billboard tarp."
Yeah,
just
I did not know that either.
And
I'm not surprised.
I got a few of them,
but I didn't know that.
Same. But he's like, "Yeah, I got a few of them. I'll see if I can, get it down there, see if we can get it working. Maybe you'll cover the field a little bit." I'm like, that's not a bad idea. Now to think about it, but
they're
it's
huge.
Just like, why
it's
do you
huge.
That?
It's he bought it. It's the Spider-Man billboard. I think to advertise that once they take these down and they move on away from the ad campaign, they just sell these tarps that they use to cover billboards. And it's a full size billboard tarp. It's massive.
It's amazing. Knowing Dad, it was, this thing is mega cheap, and I could possibly find a use for this. Heck yeah, I'm going to buy that. Why not?
Yep. So it's like it has the Spider-Man logo on it. Or
yeah,
is it the thing that goes over it.
With the movie poster, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's those giant. You imagine how big a billboard is, and then it's a tarp that they stretch over that to make that work. And then once the ad campaign's done, where it's coming this fall or whatever, they throw it away. They don't reuse those.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Something man.
Oh.
Who knows?
Of course Dad has that.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is news to me as well, but
yeah, he's using it
surprised.
He's using it to currently cover a dirt pile. If you would be surprised by that at all.
Okay. That explains a lot.
Pile?
Okay.
It's a new dirt pile.
A new? Okay.
There's always a new dirt pile because there's more places for dirt to go.
This is Missouri. I forgot. We got
where we have no dirt, only rocks and clay.
That's true. We only have rocks, so we got the dirt keeps washing away, much like a softball field. It just
turns out
erosion scales.
Did I send you guys the pictures of it?
No.
Oh well, boy howdy. Check your phones here in about 5 seconds.
Our super secret text channel.
Indeed.
Yeah. And this is after 3 hours of pumping it. Where's the thing?
You have a bilge pump right? That's what I'm imagining, like one of those ones that looks like a seesaw. You're just out
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
there singing sea shanties.
This is better. So it's like
Is it better than sea shanties?
No. So it's a PVC pipe essentially with a little plunger thingy that we pull and has a hose.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So the baseball players have been using the other pumps, which are also of crappy quality. And
great Scott, this looks like a horse field.
Let me find a better one here.
This looks like a barnyard. Somebody did not build this field correctly if the water is pooling up like this.
Yeah. Well, are you having boat races on here? Instead of the Pinewood Derby boat races or car races.
Yeah, the gutter races?
The gutter races. Oh. That's what you have going on here.
Well,
Aaron, you have muted thyself.
That is true. Well, anyway, listeners, imagine a horse barn in a Western movie in the rain. That's what this field looks like. Oh, yes, you're back. You just muted yourself.
No, I sent Collin a video of the pump because Brandon's not cool and doesn't have Snapchat.
That's true. Too old.
It's fantastic. But yeah, I made the joke with a few of the maintenance people because every time they drive by on their gators, they're like, "Oh, how's the swimming pool coming?" Like, "Oh, we're actually, getting rid of softball and having a fishing club come in. We're building the lake right here." So,
yeah. To put this in perspective, Brandon, what they have done as part of this engineering scheme is, if you will note the river streams that they have carved into that, those drain into what appears to be a massive pit on one end.
Yeah.
And then they stick the hose down in that pit. So as the water drains.
Yeah, this is what
it
and they're pumping it out. Yeah.
And then they pump it out from that.
Yeah, out into a ditch or something, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back onto the field. Just to
a little thing that goes. But yeah, that was day 2 of straight pumping. And I think the caption on it is when you're brewing coffee because it's just mud.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Bring into this hole. It's essentially a French drain that we originally had, but it doesn't work obviously. And so we made a new French drain, and then we were just sitting there just hand pumping, getting it situated.
Man, wow.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of those that I've unfortunately saved, and because our admin, our superintendent, who is really supportive in a lot of things we do, he likes to be kept updated on things, and he's like, "Oh, how's the field coming?" I'm like, "Oh, yep, it is." And so we send him things every once in a while of like, I think we posted it on one of the school social media and on school's Facebook. It's like, we like to thank every person who passed the bond to get turf. Every square inch of that will go into good hands, and we sent a video of us pumping like the water out, and so people will be like, "Hey, look at all the stuff we're doing."
Nice.
But this field. So since we have a large pool of potential coaches listening to us, you basically need to be taking care of your field year freaking round. You should have been planting rye like the moment, before winter hit, like at the tail end of fast pitch season. But the previous coaches who are no longer employed due to some, I don't want to say scandalous reasons, but some interesting reasons, you have to take care of your field like all the time, and they didn't touch the field at all. And so then we're like, "Oh, hey, we're ready for the field," and then it's not in playing condition. It's worse, and we have to like scramble to play and get it work. So thankfully, the school went out of their way and bought us what's called turf conditioner or turfus, and that stuff has, we basically just spread it in there and drag it. We're getting some crushed brick to kind of mix in there to solidify it. You play sand, kind of. It's a cornucopia of different minerals that are just shoved in this softball field. And we had to not have we didn't have practice one day. We basically just used child labor to pick these bags up and pour it all over the field.
You mean volunteer services? Volunteer services. Yeah.
Services.
Character building opportunities.
Yeah.
The girl's like, "Hey, what are we doing for practice today?" Like, we're going outside. Don't wear your nice shoes. And they were really confused. And then we show up and it's like, all right, grab a shovel. And ta-da.
It's like just tell them, right? We're training, but more like Rocky IV training.
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna we're gonna chop some wood. We're gonna shovel. We're gonna carry some bags.
Yeah.
Just put on some montage music and get to town.
It was not pretty. And so thankfully it's been so we thankfully canceled games today because I was like, we are not playing. Like, there's no way. And the other coaches were like, hey, nope, totally understand. We can't play here either. And every coach that we try to call that's like, hey, we're a swamp, don't bother coming. We're like, oh, hey, fair enough. We totally understand. So it's not just, thankfully it's not just an us problem. It's everybody problem.
That is true. That is helpful.
Out of this area. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, other than that, wedding planning is going good. Literally less than month-ish. Until that whatever day that is.
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll eventually happen. But no, it's going good. I'm tired, exhausting. We have a cat now, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Sweet. Oh yeah, Collin told me about this.
Yeah, pain in the freaking butt, but it's adorable and it's cute. But that's about as far as it goes. But other than that, no, life is good down here.
All right. Soggy, but good.
Soggy, but good.
Soggy, but good.
Put it on t-shirt. Soggy, but good.
It's true. You could sell those for softball fundraising.
Oh,
well, you said that. That is one big thing about like the administrative part of coaching. That's like, oh, I also have to do this. Is like, hey, you have to submit fundraiser ideas. Oh, you have to plan fundraisers. And it's like, oh, did the other people do fundraising? How much money do we have? They're like, nope. Like, oh,
yeah,
nothing.
17 cents. Cool. That's what we found in the locker room.
Right. And thankfully, like they have a little bit more than that. But it's like, all right, we're gonna do this. And they're like, JK, you have to fundraise. It's like, oh, okay. But the school has been extremely supportive, and I've had to definitely put on my puppy dog eyes for a lot of the things, because they asked me, like, hey, what do you need? It's like, well, I need new catcher's equipment and I need new catcher's mitt. Like, oh, well, which one do you need? And I had a very not expensive list, and then I had a very good quality but expensive list. And they'd be like, well, I guess we can get this one, but this one would be cooler because it would last longer. And it's a little expensive, but if you wanted to, they're like, okay. I'm like,
yeah. Hit them with it'll last longer, right? So you don't have to buy it again in 2 years, right?
But I had to call our school rep and he said yes. Call it before he changes his mind.
That's true. Yeah, get it. I got the PO number right here. Go.
Yeah, so that's been the big thing. And when I have coaches call us, and it basically how it went down was the athletic director came in and a bunch of parents, and they're like, hey, this is bad, fix it. Like, oh, okay, neat. So ever since that was over a month ago, maybe less, but when I have parents and the superintendent and other coaches saying, hey, you guys have done a fantastic job, these kids love you, the parents love you guys, keep it up. Because at one point in time, we had 4 people left on the team. 4
Whoa.
out of 20.
What happened?
So,
It's problematic.
yeah. And so they're like, get a team, play a season, and then go into fast pitch. Which we're like, okay. So no pressure at all, don't worry. But and then that's just basically what we're doing. And then people have been like, hey, you guys have been doing a fantastic job. Please keep doing it. Those kind of things. And just it's a lot smoother now. We're both the other coach and myself are having a blast. It's him and I work very well together. We have a lot of fun. He kind of reminds me of Dad sometimes because he'd be like looking at his phone like with his glasses down. He's like, I can't read this. He'd like hand me his phone. I'm like, man, old people can't see. And he'll do like dad mannerisms, like look what I built. I'm like, what? Why did you build this? It's way easier now. There's less headache. So yeah, we're good. We're good.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it.
There you go.
Most good news.
Yeah, so what have I been missing? What's it up?
All kinds of exciting things, really.
Sure.
It's always exciting. What are you talking about?
I survived. We survived our trip to New Orleans.
That's good. You survived Highway 55. Did you do your homework and find at least one interesting thing in Mississippi?
So a couple things here. Real
That's
quick.
That's a no, Aaron. He did not do his homework.
No, I gotta back up here. There's a story. Okay. So the way we went is we took, because we live in between Kansas City and St. Louis, we drove to I-70, took I-70 over to St. Louis and connected with I-55 in St. Louis, which means, yes, we did in fact drive 9.5 hours straight south and stayed on Interstate 55. Okay. That was the thing. That was the decision that we made. And we did have a moment when we were in St. Louis after having driven 2.5 hours to get there and went, we should have flown. Like this was... So sitting in the restaurant on our phones, looking up, going, if we bought a ticket today, what would that cost? Obviously, we decided to not do that and just drove south. So my observations of I-55 span from St. Louis down to where I-55 ends in New Orleans.
The Gulf of Mexico. That's where
Gulf of Mexico. Now, I will say this. Most of my interesting things are not in Mississippi.
They're before Mississippi, weren't they?
Yeah.
Cheating.
Yeah. Here are interesting things that I observed on my way. The most interesting thing, two interesting things. One was in Missouri, and it was kind of around like Boot Heel. We're in Boot Heel, Missouri right now, so we're just about getting out. So it's kind of like, anyway, I had seen these one other place in my life. I'm going to say this. I'm sure you will all remember this. Instead of placing billboards on the side of the road, we don't place those there. No, we build a plinth and we back a giant tractor trailer onto it and put some chalks on that.
Yeah.
And then we put the billboards on the side of the tractor trailer.
With probably your recycled billboard material just turned over and painted on the back.
Yes.
Right.
Some were painted directly onto the side of the trailer, with just big words. So these are quite fascinating, and I love these. I love these so much. They're just like really ingenious. Repurposing, right?
That's true. It's like recycling.
Recycle. That's what we're reusing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other very interesting part about this part of Missouri is obviously New Madrid. This is a very fun part to go to, right? I really wanted to stop and go see some of the things they have down there, and just, that's a very interesting part about that.
Yeah.
Then we did a thing. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So imagine this. Imagine we're driving, and our goal is to get to Jackson, Mississippi.
Just like Johnny Cash.
9.5 hours away from us. we don't leave that morning until like 8. Okay.
Oh.
And because we stop for lunch and then we have to stop like 1-2 other times for bathroom breaks and gas
and snacks.
Yeah. We end up being on the road for 12 hours. We don't pull into Jackson until 8 at night, which means, yes, folks, we drove from Memphis to Jackson completely in the dark, just straight up, no lights. I thought at first, this will make it better. The answer is no.
Even worse somehow.
Even worse somehow. Because also, remember, I am not a local. I don't drive this road very often. So not only am I loathing this, but also everybody drives this at 93 miles an hour. It's nonstop. Just I'm going 84 and just getting blown out of the water. Just blown out.
Probably because everyone's trying to get it over with as quickly as possible.
Indeed. The scariest point in time, we are driving again. It is now 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. We go down to one lane and it's a construction zone. I look in my rearview mirror. I see a car just flying up on my butt. Okay. And it's riding. Megan can attest. We had many cars who just love the rear end of a GX 460. They just really want to see intricate detail of the bumper, the door handle, the swoop of the curtain. I too admire it, but from a distance. So anyway, this car comes blitzing up, sitting right on our bumper. Then guess what they do? Anyone guess?
Did they try to pass you on the shoulder?
Aaron, do you have a guess?
Did they flash their lights and honk at you like over and over again?
Even more terrifying, they turned off their lights.
That's
just straight up lights off.
A plan.
The car disappeared. and I don't dare stop because I don't, or slow down because I don't want them to hit me. Also now, Megan and I are freaking out being like, what is this? Do we die on I-55 in between Memphis and Jackson? Because this is the sign and they're going to, because there's nobody in front of us, but there's a car that was behind me that has now disappeared because they turned off their lights. And and I'm in a construction zone. So so this was mild panic set in. And by mild, I mean quite extensive, that set in during this time. And eventually, 2 miles later, they just turned their lights back on and they're way behind me at this point. And I don't know what was going on, but this was not fun. That was less fun. We pulled into Jackson. Fun fact about Jackson, it's lost 25% of its population over the last 30 years. So a lot of fun stuff going on in Jackson.
Wow, what a fun fact.
Then the rest of the drive from South Jackson to New Orleans, less fun. Again, this is where it gets real bad. The only other thing that I
creepy no lights guy.
Yeah, well, it's just boring.
True,
the trees are fun. And earlier we had commented, I think we had a conversation about how they're hiding rice behind the tree lines.
Yes,
additionally, what they're also doing is they're hiding the tree farms, right? So we have whole slews of clear-cut forests that then regrow and sprout plants and trees for timber and timber harvesting. So rice and timber are the two big agricultural processes through this part of the country.
Those are not things that I would think would be planted near each other because one needs just a enormous ton of water and the other one is a tree. So that is interesting that they coexist so close together.
It is very interesting. But indeed, you can look through and see where they've clear cut. And then there'll be another one where there'll be a little thin veneer of trees, and right behind them there are trees, and they're all the same, the height, all of them.
And it grows.
So it's kind of fun. In Jackson, there is a giant obelisk, which I was like, whoa, I wonder how old that thing is. Oh, no, it's just dedicating to a little mall thing. So
12 years old. Yeah.
And then we hit the really again, this fun part of the geography of this area of when you get closer to New Orleans, you reach the part where the ground just disappears right?
Oh, yeah, you drive on
Because
stilts, right? Yeah.
you drive on stilts and you drive on an elevated highway for just miles and miles and miles of.
So you don't run over the crocodiles, right? The alligators. All fun. Yeah, I forgot about the noise though. I didn't think
75 miles an hour, just but it's very pretty. This is a very pretty part of the drive.
True.
This, the best part of the drive. I-55 right before it ends. Beautiful. It's amazing. Annoying to be driving on, but a lot of fun. So then we park our car. As we're pulling into the parking lot that I paid for and reserved, we see a grown man relieving himself in between two vehicles. And I went, welcome to New Orleans. Yeah. Yes. This is perfect. The conference was in the business district. The conference center was. I had not wanted to pay conference hotel prices. So I optimized for walking distance from conference center, which is fine, right? That's what you do. Optimize for walking distance. The problem is that the business district is divided by the Canal Street, which after Canal Street is French Quarter.
Yes.
I had thought that our little Airbnb was more business district than French Quarter.
Uh-oh.
I was wrong.
Uh-oh.
As Megan can attest. Let's just so
you optimize for walking distance to beignets though. That's important.
True.
No, I was 4 minutes from my conference hotel, from the conference center, which is great. I was 15 minutes from beignets.
That's terrible.
Right? But no. Plus, the little Airbnb that we had, we're on the 5th floor, 5 stories away from everything.
Uh-huh.
I genuinely thought all of the windows were open. That's how loud it was. I thought the windows, they're original to the building. They're single pane. I don't think there's an ounce of insulation anywhere. Like there was no barrier between the thudding, the loud blaring music, the sirens, the horns, the screaming, the street noise, and our bedroom. It was just unadulterated, straight, raw sound coming through the walls. And the city, I learned, shuts down at 4 a.m. Okay. That's when the little cop cars come through and go whoop, whoop, and they send everybody home. And then you're like, silence. I have
just in time for people to get awake and go to a conference.
No. Conference starts at 8:30. I've got some time. It's 4 o'clock. I can get a couple hours of sleep. We'll be fine. No. Then what happens? Garbage trucks come through. They're banging, they're clanging, they're moving things around. And then you're like, okay, finally. No. Street sweepers come through and they're banging, beeping, honking, yelling. People move things around. And then, sweet, wonderful bliss between the hours of 5:30 and 7:30. Best sleep of your life. Okay, because then people start to awake and start going about their days. And
turns out those conference center hotel prices is actually just for double pane glass and soundproofing, right? That's really what it is.
And blinds. We just had not blinds, curtains. We just had the little slat blinds, which basically meant it was daylight in our room all night long. Like it was.
Wait, just blinds with no curtain?
Yes.
What sort of barbarity is this? What barbarianism is happening here? Like
I don't know. Best part about this thing was it was literally we'd come down our stairs, come down the elevator. We'd walk from our door straight across the one-way street and into breakfast. There was a little breakfast place right across the way. That was the best part about this. We then went out on Canal Street. There's a restaurant over there, and we got to watch. That's another part of the culture is when you do weddings. You do, of course, everything in New Orleans. You have a parade. So we got to watch a wedding procession on Canal Street. Nice. The whole thing was shut down just so that they could do a parade.
Wow.
And then we also got to watch, again, I have seen TikTok videos of this, but the quad bikes doing the wheelies and doing all the tricks and stuff. They reside on Canal Street, and they just, I guess, fill up on one end and then drive until they run out of gas and then fill up again.
Because it's so wide, right?
Wide. So and they just happen. Like, and they're doing this. I thought, okay, cop cars, they'll move away. No, like they're going around cop cars, like right next to cop cars, in front of them. Like the cops are just like, okay, if that's all you're going to do, I guess do a wheelie on a quad bike on a sidewalk or near a sidewalk. I guess that's fine. We'll let that slide. Well, whatever. And so each night it was like, okay, well, we're done eating. We're going to go back and try and get some sleep. So the next night we basically just turned my phone's sleep noises on as loud as it could and held it dearly close to our face so we could sleep. And it somewhat worked.
Do you hang stuff over the window like a blanket, like an extra blanket?
They're big windows. They're big. It's like a big has a kind of industrial window kind of thing, like that look. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
It's not small and quaint.
Darn.
And I'm sitting here going like, I know what we paid for this little Airbnb. There are hotels over here that are like really ritzy. I'd be super annoyed. And they're like in historic buildings too. Like, I guess maybe you pay for curtains at that point. Like, but
they might have upgraded the windows.
I guess. Or maybe provided a noise machine or something.
Yeah, maybe they just like spray foamed them. Like,
oh, look at that. Probably is all they did. And then put more like soundboard over everything and then painted it.
Maybe.
It's probably what they needed to do. But no, it was good. Our talk went really well. New Orleans, not really our scene, at least for sleeping. And now we know that we'll, it's one of those things of, you're walking around. It's like I'm trying to like be interested in history and just in all this stuff. And then it's like, oh, here's like a pile of vomit I have to step over. Or if you were interested in remembering what the world was like in the 70s and 80s, where a good chunk of people smoked, just go walk around New Orleans.
Oh,
and you're like, hey, this is what cigarette smoke smell like. And that's the smoke. That's what the world was like 45 years ago.
This is an airplane in 1967. Look at this.
This is amazing. There's so many memories of just public cigarette smoke. Like it's like, oh, right. That's something I take for granted. Like I don't have to like, as I'm walking past places, because there's not cigarette smoke everywhere. Just so many people just chain smoking on corners and whatever. It's fine. I guess just move on, do our thing. My goodness. It was, that was our time in New Orleans, folks. And then we drove home, stayed in West Memphis, which is not Memphis. It's west of Memphis. It's not in Tennessee. It's in Arkansas. So stay in that sleepy little town. Amazing night's sleep there. Just beautifully done. A
lot less street sweeping, probably. So that's good.
A lot less street sweeping. No quad bikes, as it turns out.
Surprise!
Yeah. I mean, it was to the point. Do you guys remember? Oh, what's it called? On Top Gear, they did the track car. Is old Top Gear, not old Top Gear, but like BBC trio, where they did the track cars where. Hammond had the three-wheeler Morgan made of wood.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah. And Clarkson had like a crossbow or whatever. Okay, I found out that they make those with speakers. And if you are wondering, yes, in fact, they are 100% treble. There's no bass in these, but people drive around them on the streets with them all the way turned up.
Interesting.
What
a plan. Because yes, that's the
tweeters.
Is that the new thing for 2023? Like subwoofers are out, tweeters are in.
Only tweeters.
The highest pitch noise you can.
I'm telling you,
imagine.
If you want to be on the it just rip out the subwoofers and replace them with a giant cluster of tweeters.
I'm imagining instead of a box with like too big, like 12 inches or whatever, it's like a box and it just has like 20 of those little like 4-inch tweeters.
It's a compound insect eye, right? That's what it is. Of just like tweeters focused out and up. Oh my gosh. And
what a plan.
Like, what? I mean, you're standing there and Canal Street is not a small street. It's a 4-lane with a massive median because that's where the cable cars
trolleys go.
Trolleys go, right? Yeah. We were on the complete opposite side with other cars passing in between us. I could not carry on a conversation with the person next to me because this person's crossbow thing was just shredding itself and sending, I don't know, resonant frequencies throughout the area to crumble eardrums and skulls alike. It was
hilarious.
You just could not carry on a conversation. You just had to stop talking until they left. But here's the thing. They drive the strip, so they're going to come back in like 15
That's true,
minutes.
like 5 minutes. Oh, well, you're there again.
Wrap up the story real quick before they come back.
Oh, man, that's rough.
So, had amazing etouffee. Pretty much. And then basically everything, it's like, oh, you want, Alfredo pasta. What if it was also had like shrimp,
every seafood imaginable in it?
Yeah, right. Like, oh, here's shrimp and here's crab cakes. Yes, we'll just throw crab cakes into this. And you're like, okay. Well, anyway, I think I know what I'm getting. And then for breakfast, they're like, okay, we'll get the biscuits and gravy
with the crab cakes. No, I'm just kidding.
And with crab but instead of sausage gravy, it's crab cake gravy.
Oh, gross! Ew.
No, it wasn't like that. But it was like, obviously, then you'd have to get your fried green tomatoes on the side and all of that.
No.
So it was my favorite part of New Orleans.
How much grits did you eat? That's the real question.
A lot. So my favorite part of New Orleans is like brunch New Orleans is what I've discovered. Like you're sitting out on the outdoor seating, sun coming through the alleyways, and
cigarette smoke wafting through the air.
Right. Less cigarette smoke walk. Here's what we're going through. We're not it's a lot to ask for none, but it's less than
slightly less.
It's less than 9 o'clock New Orleans. Okay, that's fine. 9 p.m. New Orleans, very different smoke levels than 9 a.m. New Orleans smoke levels.
Oh, yeah, fair.
And, and we then packed up and headed out, made it into West Memphis on that last day, drove the rest of the way in. So that was our event. I have nothing else in my notebook. So to answer your question, is there anything interesting? Is there any sign that says exhibit, must see, world's biggest, world's only, largest this sign on I-55 through Mississippi? I am here to report that the answer is no.
There you go.
No.
I kind of suspected because Mississippi is firmly out of the Midwest sphere of influence, right? So we're definitely
yes. And so because this is a podcast of top tips. If you wish to travel to New Orleans on I-55 to get the best experience out of this, fly.
Fly to brunch, right?
Yes.
That's the chip.
Have brunch, leave.
True.
Leave, get out of the city.
Beignets, coffee, crab cakes, flee.
You'll be
Right, what
fine.
you do?
You'll be fine. Like and then when you're down there, and we weren't even there during Mardi Gras, and like this is still literally a hangover from Mardi Gras season. And there's just like throngs of people there because it's a city of almost 500,000 people, or almost 400,000 people now. It was 500,000 before Katrina, and it bumped down. Then it's kind of back up.
There's only 400,000 people there.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem. Are you serious?
Yep. Google.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, I think it's less than 400,000 people. Yeah,
really? It's that small?
Yes. Yeah, New Orleans back in. Yeah, I'm looking at. I looked this up. New Orleans in 2005 had 450,000. Now they're at 377,000.
How does New Orleans have a smaller population than Springfield, Missouri?
No.
Right.
370,000.
Oh, okay. Still, that's
no. Yeah. So yeah, because Springfield has 140,000, 150,000.
Well, that's true, but I guess if you think about surrounding area, it's like enormous.
Yeah.
Do you think like Republic, Nixa, Ozark, But right, that's
exactly.
the
So
metropolitan area.
So this doesn't include like obviously, Baton Rouge is kind of gets lumped into New Orleans sometimes.
I thought that was further away.
It is further away, but sometimes people because it's just coastal.
Oh, they're true.
Here's the thing. Yeah. New Orleans proper just has 400 or 380,000 people. Let's just say prior to Katrina, it had 450,000. The thing that blew me away, seriously, is that
number just seems way too small.
Way too small. It really does. It really is. The thing that blew me away is that Jackson, Mississippi, the capital, has fewer people than, or is about roughly the same size as Springfield, and yet it's massive. There's like
spread out, right?
Yeah, and 8 lanes of interstate traveling through it. Because New Orleans itself, the city, is weirdly shaped. It doesn't include like we drove through Mater and Gretna is further to the south. That's not New Orleans proper. So there's still a little bit of these more suburbs that it gathered together. It the population blows up pretty big. But like, it's so like Jefferson Parish, I think, is to the west of there. Yes. And it's a whole different ball of wax. But like to be in there with, let's just say that whole area, 500,000 and a half, like it's a lot. It's really oppressive. And we did almost get hustled. We were walking to Jackson Square and some very nice looking monks approached us.
What?
Yes, they had like the robe, the garb thing, and they had little satchels, and they had
Friar Tuck monks, like
okay, yeah. And they like were holding up some things, and we saw them pass out bracelets to somebody else, and then like we just held out our hand, and they put the bracelets on, and then they start to pull out a pen and a paper and like pointing to a price. And it's like, no. Like,
no. Can't do that. Don't take things because then that means you bought it, right?
That's yes, and then we ran away, and it was not fun.
Threw it down and ran.
just and so waved to Jackson Square and did our little walk around, and then we retreated back to the hotel and did not go that way again.
To not sleep.
That's what not sleep for 2 nights.
No.
Yes. Yeah, and we had someone who was there that first day, Friday, and we're like, "Where are you staying?" And they're like, "Oh, we're down in the Garden District, and it's like a 20-minute trolley in." And I was like, "Oh man, we're 4 minutes away walk. I'm so happy we did that." Well, no, the next morning I was like, Garden District. Next time, Garden District. Take the trolley.
Trolley ride? Come on. You can start your morning with a trolley ride. How exciting would that be?
Who wouldn't like that? Ding, ding. Who wouldn't like trolley ride to the land of make-believe?
Ride past all the crossbow dude and four-wheely boys, right?
So angry.
Cruise with them down the road.
Yes. Yeah. No, they're not up that early.
Oh, that's okay. Good point.
So, yes, we did survive. So, again.
So Shelby and myself over like right after Christmas, we went down to Arizona.
Right?
Oh
yeah.
And so I thought like, going to Arizona when we were younger, so they clearly know the state pretty well. So it started off not very bueno because I had booked the wrong. I didn't realize that Phoenix was so big.
Oh man, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, so we flew into Phoenix, and at first I was like, "Oh, let's just drive to there." Like, well, yeah, 16 hours, meh. No, let's just fly. And so we ended up flying. So I didn't realize that Phoenix was massive. And so I booked a car rental from I know I'm going to get like the Phoenix Mesa Airport or it's the Phoenix Sky Harbor. So little tiny airport. Get out of the plane, walk on the runway. And of course, we left Oklahoma and it was like 20 degrees. We fly in and it's like 75, beautiful. And they're like, "Oh, hey, actually, your car is at the other airport." I was like, "Phoenix has 2 airports?" It's like, "It has 3. So didn't know that. Had to take an Uber like 45 minutes to the other airport, get our car. Um, and so it's going off. It's starting off great, and then we drive to Tucson, which is a good.
That's pretty far. Yeah, that's
Like 2 hours ish.
yeah.
And so I'm completely turned around at this point because I'm thinking, oh hey, we're like in the middle of the state, blah 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 blah.
No.
I didn't realize that Tucson's like, oh, it's like 2 hours from the Mexican border.
Yeah.
And so we go down there for a wedding, and Shelby's in the wedding, and so I'm just driving around Tucson, which like we stayed at this really this weird Airbnb. Like it was really nice, but like you're in Tucson, and then you step a foot outside of Tucson, and it's desert.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't realize like how deserty desert it was because we're like Phoenix, big city, and then boom, like there's a a plateau, there's a mesa, there's cactuses everywhere, cacti everywhere, and yeah, like we stayed in this Airbnb, and it's like, oh hey, you need to close the gate at night because we get coyotes and javelinas.
Yeah.
Like, what's javelina? And so it's this little like
little angry pig. That's what it is.
Little angry hog. And Shelby went for a run one morning, and like I was sitting there texting her, like Googling like what these things are and what they do. It's like these things bark, and they're like territorial. And if you see one, you approach it, and of course, like she's running, and there's like a whole like herd of them, and
naturally.
And so they're like, yeah, just close the gate at night because javelinas and coyotes have been known to like get in on the property, and there's like road runners and stuff out there. But there's like
meet.
There's
I said meet.
Road runner. There's little like
Thanks.
There's cities, and then there's roads, and then the moment you step out of the city, it's like dirt roads or sand roads. I don't know exactly what they were, but they're like all these nice houses, like nothing's paved, and so it's just like weird. And then like downtown Tucson's like 10 minutes away, and so like there's like a whole bustling of like a downtown life. There's restaurants, bars, bands playing, and then like you go another block over, and there's the University of Arizona campus, which was beautiful. But the one takeaway that I have is that every place in Tucson, Arizona, is that you have to pay for parking. I spent so much money just on parking. I spent more money on parking than I did food. That tells you about the experience. Like it was beautiful, like temperature wise, like this place is great. And it's like, oh, $5 for 30-minute parking. Like, why? Why do you do this? And then we flew back the next day, and of course it was like 30 degrees when we flew in. But it's like, oh man, Tucson, Arizona, Arizona's gonna be great. And it's like, yeah, you're like 2 hours away from the Mexican border, bro. And then, oh, here's all this parking, and then, oh, don't get eaten.
Well, the weird part is,
nice, and we had a lot of fun.
The weird part is, like, Arizona is just a big giant empty state with nothing in it. So, like, the fact that most of it's just dirt, like, why can't you just park in the dirt, right? Like, what do you mean I got to pay for parking? The whole state has nothing in it. What are you talking about?
Like, there's all this stuff. Like there's free, and I didn't realize that because like growing up going to vacations and whatnot, like we went to like moderately populated ish areas, but then it's just like, oh hey, because driving just from Phoenix to Tucson, like, oh, there's nothing out here.
I know, it's just empty, desolate.
Yeah. So Collin was making me relive some trauma from Tucson. But it wasn't like as crazy and chaotic, but like I would be driving like 5 miles over the speed limit, and I've never been flipped off more times in my life than in Tucson, Arizona. Like I don't know if it's because I had a rental car that had Florida plates on it, but like the light would immediately go from red to green, and when the moment I pushed like on the gas pedal, and then like some dude would be flipping me the bird from behind me, and like I'm driving, like the light just changed, and then like I got coffee one morning and I had pulled out because I had the right of way, and this dude who was on the other side with no blinker on just laid on his horn and flipped me off. I'm like, what?
Maybe that's the Arizona hello.
Fix your roads apparently, and then it rain like every day just because, and then it'd be like, all right, it's done, back to 70.
That's crazy.
And so, like, it was a blast. But it was an experience that I'm like, yeah, well, I would go back, but I don't know if I could live Tucson kind of thing. Also, my boss would like to know that everyone get measured for their taxes and called in to the people.
I'm going on Friday.
Okay. This is a whole story, by the way. So
yes.
Okay, so I went and got measured. Okay, and I just walked into the suit shop. So I did get it measured, and I got called in, and I got measured, and I went up. I said I get measured for a tux, and they said, okay, great. They gave me my measurements. I called the lady, and she said, okay, what are your measurements? And I gave her all my measurements, and there's a really long pause, and she went, are your arms that long? And I went, yes. And she went, but what kind of shirt do you wear? And I was like, well, like a large is not long enough sleeves, but like an extra large is also not long enough sleeves, and it's also really big around my chest. So if I had like a large tall, like, that'd be really great. And then she kept saying, okay, well, you're a 38 or whatever. And I was like, a 38 and what? And she was like, well, that's your jacket size. I said, yeah, 38 what? And she goes,
sleeve length? That would be
no. Yeah, 38. I don't remember what she said. And I was like, and then she said, so what are your jacket measurements? And I said, I don't know. I said, these are my measurements. And she goes, well, are these for your shirt or your jacket measurements? And I went, yes.
These are my measurements.
And she went, well, if I was measuring you, I would have gotten different measurements. And I went, that's really good to know now. Do you need different measurements? To which she said, no, I can make this work. Are your arms really that long? So I don't know. Like, I think she just like, I'm this weird, like, homunculus of a human, and I have no idea how this is going to.
Did you just like clue her in on how tall you were? Like, just like a little, did. Like, hey, by the way, that's because I'm, enormous. Like, spoilers.
Have you ever seen The Iron Giant? It's based off of me. That's basically what it is.
I think it's because like I've got these like ridiculously long arms and legs, and my torso is itty bitty, and I don't have a big chest, but I kind of got like a little gut now, and so like I don't know what she's envisioning for like how I'm proportioned, but just like some like, weird,
it's pretty much it. It's
grotesque mixture of a human.
Send her a selfie. Here's me. Hi.
Well, I was like, do I take a picture of myself and be like, no, look, I am weird. Like these are my arms. Like they drag the floor. I'm sorry. Like I can't help this. Like I'm Grundle. Like it's okay. Like don't worry about it. It's gonna. So yes, those are in and confirmed. And then I said, and then she said, what is your shoe size? And I said, well, what kind of shoes? And she said, standard. And I went, and those would be, and she said, round tip leather sole. I said, okay, cool. Do they run small or large? And she said, well, I've never had anybody complain about the fit. And I went, okay.
Never?
Oh, ever? Like, really? Ever? And I said, okay, just give it a 12 and we'll be good to go.
I mean, yeah, it's fine.
Standard. She asked, she said, what did she ask? Oh, she asked me this thing. She said, she said, and so your shirt size is what? after I had gone through like the XL, and I had said, well, like I wear larges and I just always cuff the sleeves. And she goes, no, what are the shirt measurements? And
I said, like dress shirt, like, yeah.
Yeah. And I said, I said, gotta be honest. The last time I did this was 11 years ago when I myself got married, and I haven't bought a dress shirt since, nor been fitted for anything else. I said, this is all new to me. And
all of my shirts say pet sitter. So
right.
I don't really know what you want.
I wear my own shirt. It's a large. It says pet sitter. And then I put a flannel on top of it and cuff the sleeves. Like that's my jam. So like, I'm really struggling here. I'm really trying, lady. Like I really I'm so sorry. Like I just, So Brandon, top tip. Get a jacket measurement too.
I'm just gonna go to I finally found a place that's like not like mega far away from me that I'm gonna go to, and we're gonna figure it out. It'll be fine.
She'll fawn over you.
So
maybe I'll just call the lady first and hand the lady with the tape measure phone and say, "Here, this is for you," and then just stand there.
Probably a safe bet, because one of my other guys, he just like emailed it to him, and I'm like, why did you do that? He's going to have questions for you. So basically, what Colin's saying is that due to him being complicated, the price of all of this just went jacked up.
Me
is what I'm basically hitting. Like, just one of your groomsmen was just like super complicated. So I was like, here's the price.
It's me.
No.
It's me. Sorry. Yeah. When she says that, it's me.
Sorry.
No, as long as you get in, because at the same time, it's also like prom season. And so she's like, well, we always do like this stuff first, but like we just want to make sure that like everything is in.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Oh, right. And then she said, well, it's fine. When you come in to try it on, we'll be able to make adjustments. To which I said, I'm sure that sounds great, and that usually works. I can't do that. And she was like, she's like, oh, you can't? And I was like, no, like, these are being picked up and taken to a far off place in another part of magical Oklahoma, to which I will also arrive at that same place and then put this upon and adorn my body. I am not able to be fitted again for this. So she asked a couple more clarifying questions after that, and I think we got it all lined out.
Okay, good. Sweet. All right, bet.
So I told Megan, I said, I'm either going to be like, it's either going to dwarf me like a poncho, because she's just or like I'm going to be wearing like knee highs and a short, like a riding crop or whatever. Like, I don't know, like it's going to be
true. It'll be fine.
Very, very fun.
It'll be all right. No. Apparently I can't wear any of my coaching gear because we got since we're sponsored by Under Armour, so I got stuff that says like my school and then like softball and like Under Armour, and I was like, so this, and then like I've seen Shelby give me the desk player. That's only been like once or twice, and weirdly the last time was when I said that. So I guess I can't wear any of that stuff. So
I mean, for the ceremony.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like after this, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back." Quick change, Superman. Bam, here we go. Different.
So, but no, other than that, I mean, I think everybody else got, everyone's all fitted, so I think we all should be good to go. So
yeah, Brandon.
Listen, there's no they closed down the store that used to do it here, so there's no place near here that does
it. Just measure it yourself, guesstimate. Do measure your fingers, make sure it's 9.5 inches from pinky to thumb, and then just walk it up.
There you go. Go for it.
I think that's fine.
Mode.
Yeah. What's new with you, Brandon?
Well, I have been cultured.
Like a cheese?
There was no cheese involved.
Okay.
Actually. So my big exciting goings on is I attended a Chin Cultural Festival for the 75th Chin National Day. That's what I did.
Great.
Yes. I unpack that.
Yeah, right. So that's a lot, right? So I have some students that are Chin, right? So Chin is like it's a state in the country of Myanmar / Burma, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is the like very northwest top corner that borders India. Right, so this is the Chin state. This is where the Chin people are from. One of the traditional tribes, I guess, kind of the area, and like one of the founding members of the Union of Burmese states that became when the Burma consolidated, right, under British rule. Right, so it's a cultural group that lives there, and extremely repressed by the government of Myanmar currently, who are not very nice people, right? The dictatorship that took back over. If you're unaware of the situation in Myanmar, ladies and gentlemen, basically, for a while so for a long time they had a military dictatorship, right? And then they started some like free elections and stuff for a long time, and there was a president, a lady, right? For a lot of the last president was a lady, right? And then during the 2020 elections, when the military lost a huge number of seats in the Congress and the Parliament, basically right after the elections, they were like, what election? Just kidding. And they arrested the president and several other prominent people and reestablished military dictatorship. And they do not like the Chin people at all. Right?
Is this for cultural, historic? Did they what reason, or is it just kind of an ethnic cleansing?
Yeah, kind of that, right? Because they are like a separate group, right? They identify as a separate group other than Burmese. They are branded other, and they like put a lot of heavy repressions on things, and they like really heavily repress their like religious practices and stuff, because the Chin are like primarily Baptist, right? Due to some missionary work back in the day, right? So
interesting.
They are like pretty heavily repressed for there. So I have kids whose like families, they don't get to talk to them very much because there's like, they like blacked out the internet, right? They can't get phone calls out. They do a lot of like stuff. They're like fighting the government in some sort of actions, and then the government will just like randomly bomb them. Fun times. So I went to a celebration of a Chin National Day because, like I said, I have several students who are Chin, right? And so one of them invited me. Like, I guess I don't know if she was like serious, because when I showed up, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you're here!" Like, yeah, you told me to come, so I don't really know why you're surprised. So it's pretty cool. I talked to a guy for a long time, named his name was Dr. Benjamin, right? And he's kind of like the regional dude to kind of like works with the immigrant population in this area, right? He used to live in Iowa, because they are very agricultural. They love farming. They want to farm, right? They farm back home, so they come to the United States and they want to set up in farming communities. So, Southwest Missouri, good. Iowa, good, right? These are where he wanted to go for that. And so he came down from Springfield, and I was talking to him for a while. He's a really interesting guy. He was talking about kind of their fundraising goals, and he like went on a relief mission where he like, went there. I'm not gonna out him any more than that, but like he did that. Tell you some more details later, I guess. But he went there to bring like aid and medical supplies and stuff to the people in the Chin state not too long ago. So he was talking about that, which was crazy. And then so it's just sort of like a celebration where like a bunch of the regional people come together and just sort of celebrate stuff, right? So it was really cool and super interesting. Everybody was really friendly. Like it was really cool. They were really nice. Like they hung out and stuff. So I guess we'll take you through the day, right? Show up. I learned that when they say it starts at this time, that kind of means like, like
Gotcha. Yeah.
kind of, it's around here, right?
Yeah.
So we were hanging out and they started making like, they made some breakfast stuff, right? So they were selling all this food, which was very exciting. So they had some like fried rice stuff for breakfast. It's very similar to like Indian fried rice that they eat for breakfast. I don't remember what the name of that is, but like a lot of places in India, it's like fried rice and a couple of veggies and like that's breakfast, right? It's really good. I've had it before. So I didn't eat it here. I ate some sort of fried bread thing. I don't remember what it was called because, I didn't have any idea what was happening. I just got in there and met like one person. And so I was like, okay.
What's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's very overwhelming, right? Because, my Spanish is not good. My Chin dialect is non-existent. So
bit rusty, is it?
Bit rusty, weird. Right? Weird. It is kind of like it's a similar language family to a lot of the ones in Southeast Asia. So it sounds like vaguely Thai at times, but like I don't speak Thai either. I just know what it sounds like because I've watched like movies and stuff.
Yeah, let's be very clear.
I've watched movies starring Tony Jaa. Okay, that's the extent of my Thai knowledge. But I watched Ong Bak. Okay, I know what's up.
I just love how you said it sounds a lot like, but I don't speak that either. Anyway,
it sounds like it, right? It's reminiscent of the way that it sounds, right?
That's perfect.
It's in the same kind of language family as some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
So they're hanging out, talking to these ladies that are serving food. And the other thing I eat, they're like, oh, you got to eat this. This is like a thing that we eat all the time. It's like, okay, what is it? And they told me a name. I don't remember. But it's like a rice thing. Okay. And it's the stickiest thing you've ever held in your hand in your life, right? So it's like rice that's been boiled to oblivion, right? And I think it's mixed with something else. And then they kind of sweetened this one. And it's like a really, really, it has the consistency of like Play-Doh almost, but it's sticky. It's wild. Real sticky. It's wild. So this other lady, I was talking to her and she gave me the pro tip on how to eat this, right? It turns out she was like the master of ceremonies for the day, and she neglected to mention that part, right? But whatever.
Okay.
My buddy Gracie. Hello, shout out Gracie. What's up? So
nice.
So they wrap it in like banana leaves, I guess, when they cook it. So it's all tied in the end with string. So she's like, yeah, what you do is you just take the string off and you use the string to just like chop it, right?
I'm seeing. There's an episode of Netflix's Street Food where a lady makes this and wraps it in banana leaves. Is that
possibly?
It's okay. I think
possibly something like that. So that worked a treat. You just cut it up in little pieces and just eat it. It was great. And then I look over at the table across from me, and this old lady just had grabbed it. She just like peeled the banana leaves back like a banana and was just like chowing down on this thing. So I was like, all right. So it's just a very handsy.
Yeah.
Food. So the little fried bread things were delicious. And this rice thing was great. It was like just a little bit sweet. Right. And it was very dense though. I could see why you did not need to eat for a while after you ate this sucker, man. Like it was Susan and I split one, obviously, because it was like it was huge. Right? It was a big old massive, like the size of a hot dog with a bun, right? That's how big it was.
Wow.
So we're hanging out, talking to some people, ate some breakfast, and then the program began. Okay, so there was like a whole program thing, right? And so there was like a Miss Chin contest type of situation, right? Like a pageanty thing. Okay, so they did like they started out with the pageant thing, and then they would do like a round of pageanting. So they came out and like wearing like traditional these ladies, these girls, I guess they're probably high school age girls, I think. They're all wearing like traditional attire. It's amazing. Right? Like super detailed, like needlework clothes, like the most complicated belts I've ever seen in my life, right? Like insane things like that. Beads everywhere, really cool headdresses. Yeah. So they do that, and then they did like a pageanty interview thing. Apparently their answers were quite humorous because the crowd was laughing uproariously. So they did good with that. And so like between rounds of pageants, they would have like other stuff. So there was like several rounds of like dances, like traditional like dancing things, right? That were really cool. And then they did like one of them was like the farm. So they wore like other people came out in like traditional clothes, right? And then later they came out and they did like, it was like they were like hybridizing like traditional dress material with like Western fashion. And that was really cool, right? They do like, we're just like mishmashing a lot of stuff up, and like boys and girls, right? Coming out and showing off this stuff. And just kind of like some of that, there was some talking, which I don't know what was happening, right? And some more pageanty, and then dancing. So they would do some dancing, like a group of people would go up and do like this dance thing. And then they did all that. And then the last dance was the craziest thing in the world. Okay. So skipping ahead a bit. So that was basically it. Pageants, fashion show, talking, dancing. The last dance was what my former like she was in my class a couple years ago. That's what she was doing, and what I was invited to see. And her mom like choreographed the whole thing. It's the traditional bamboo dance. Yo.
Okay.
All right. So do you remember in PE in elementary school, did you do that one dance thing from the Philippines where you had like the PVC pipes and they moved them back and forth?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like, you know what I'm talking about, Aaron?
Yes, because I thought we did that in Boy Scouts too.
We might have, but we also did it in PE, I think, for a PE thing. So that was kind of like jump rope, right? Where you have two people on each end and you jump in between.
Yeah.
I want you to imagine 8 people in a square.
Now, ankles are out.
No, moving these bamboo poles, right?
Nope, I'm done.
So like a square with 2 dudes sitting on the floor on each side, right? So what was that 4 sets of poles crisscrossing like the world's scariest tic-tac-toe board.
Oh my gosh.
And then they start moving them in and out. Boom, boom, click, click, boom, boom, click, right? Together, apart, together, apart. And there's like a song playing behind it. It's really loud too, because it's actual bamboo. They were using actual bamboo pieces. I have no idea where they got it. But they're like 12 feet long. And they're just like, and then the girls come out and there's like a line of like 10 of them. And as the music starts going, they start just like hopping and skipping around through all these squares, right? In rhythm. Wow. And they're in like traditional dress, right? The traditional favorite color of the Chin apparently is red, by the way. So all this like really bright red and everything. And they're holding white handkerchiefs and they're just dancing hopping through the bamboo.
Ankle crushers.
Yeah. And they did this for 6.5 minutes.
No.
Yes.
What?
I talked to my student afterwards, like, are you alive? She's like, I'm dying. My feet hurt so bad.
Wow.
Like, I can, because they're barefoot too, right? Obviously. And they're just, it was insane. Like, it was the coolest thing ever.
That is so cool.
It was so cool. And one of the funny parts was her mom was up there, and her mom, again, was the one that taught them. But like, they were jumping and hopping so much that random parts of their jewelry was falling off. And so she was like scurrying out there and just like grabbing it But she is also in full traditional dress and high heels. So I don't really know how she was managing this either. That was also impressive. She's like, like
That's a skill
like
in and of itself.
Their hair clips were falling out. Like some girls lost part of her belt. Like just things. But there's so much rhythmic, like bouncing and jumping. It was insane. It was really, really cool. So we did traditional dancing, fashion show stuff, right? So then there's some lunchtime, right? I found a bunch more of my children that are former students that were like, "What are you guys doing here?" Like, so we took pictures. There's pictures, and there's like a big banner, like Chin National Day banner, right? Really cool. And then the wrestling tournament began.
I love how that gotta be. Didn't expect that one coming out, you know.
Yeah. Traditional wrestling tournament.
Wild.
So this was slightly embarrassing because they had it in the gym at the school here, right? And so we go in there, we were talking and stuff, we're milling around, and we were contemplating whether or not we were going to eat lunch yet or wait for a little bit because that big rice thing was very potent. However, I will say I did see them preparing noodles in a pot. In this pot, I swear it was a meter across, right? It was.
That's amazing.
It was enormous. But anyway, so wrestling tournament, we're standing there and they have the bleachers on the side, right? And then they had brought in a bunch of folding chairs and kind of put them around the mat in a circle. And we were standing in the back, you know, trying to be, you know, just out of the way. And one of the official organizer dudes was like, "Where are you sitting?" Like, "Well, we're just going to sit back here." And he goes, No, come on. And he starts walking towards the front and he just grabs two random chairs and slams them down right in the front. He's like, "There you go. That's where he's sitting today." I was like, "What?" No.
Nice.
So it was a little embarrassing. Some of the people were laughing at us, but it's fine. They were cool with it.
Good.
So we were like front row in the wrestling. So that was cool. But they start off with like small children wrestling, right? And so one of the first, I'd also talked to some other pastor guy when I was out in the lobby. And I started the wrestling got up. He came and tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "That's my son." I was like, "Yeah, let's go."
Okay, I know who to root for.
Yeah, I know who to root for now. So they start with little kids, and then they kind of like, it's just like a tournament, and they just do whoever wants to go. Anybody in the building can wrestle.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh.
And it's a last man standing tournament.
Oh.
That's kind of the thing. So they start with the little kids. They kind of pair them off by size and just like they're kind of match them up and then do that. And then it moves on to like middle and high school age kids. And then it gets real, right? Then it starts like getting serious.
Any particular style or is it just
right.
kind of
So it is a form of belt wrestling. Okay. So what they do is you go, there's two people and they tie this big long belt around you. Okay. And you each start off kneeling and you each are holding onto each other's belt. And I'm a little shaky on the rules. I should have asked somebody a little more detail. I'll tell you about who I should have asked specifically later. But it appears to be the rules that I gathered from this are it's a 2 out of 3 falls situation. You have to make the other person land on their back to win a pinfall, right? Kind of like Greco-Roman wrestling a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to always hold on to the belt. Mm-hmm. So there is some intense like swinging about and like leg hooking happening because you each are holding on to basically each other's waist and you don't let go of the belt and you have to get the other person on their back.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's crazy. So the little kids are fine, right? It's funny, it's cute, it's adorable, right? The guy's son one match or two, right? It's cool. And then we start getting into older kids. One of the other kids from our school wrestled. He's in like high school, right? He was wrestling out there. It's neat. Whenever he was wrestling, his mom came and sat by us. And so we talked to her again. It's the same mother of the girl that was like in my class a couple years ago. So it's that family, right? And so the kids wrestled for a long time. And so we went out and got some food. So we had a food break and then I had served lunch. So we had some like soupy stuff. Dude, let me just tell you, it was amazing. So that their mom was like, "You got to come eat." I'm like, yes, you're right. We do have to eat. She's like, "You need chin food." Like, yes, you're right. How could we be so silly as to not think about that? So they had two different like soup things. So we each got one. I had something that it was just like a really small noodly soup situation with like eggs and some like spices and like some other stuff in there. And it was delicious, right? It was amazing. And Susan ate some, it's called soba tea, I think is the official name. It's kind of like, it's corn broth with meat, I think is what that officially means. It's kind of like beans, like ham and beans, but it's corn and beef, right? And it's super delicious. It's really good because they told me I had researched a little bit about food before we went, and they said the name, and I was like, "You have to eat that," because Susan loves corn like very much, and I was like, "That's you. You have to eat this. You need that in your life." And she took a bite. She was like, "Oh my, yes, I do."
It's all true.
I need a lot more of this. So we took a break. We ate. We accidentally. They were like, "Oh, here's some onions and stuff you can just put in the soup." And we're like, "Okay, well, like when they serve you the food and then there's like some condiments and stuff you put on top of it." Mm-hmm. They did not tell me that the onions and everything was sauteed in chili oil. That would have been very important information because I just dumped it in my soup and I took a big old bite and went, "Oh!" No. I had to sort of like mix it up. And then it was fine, right? But that first bite was like just a whole bunch of chili seeds, and it was exciting. It was very like, oh, my nose is not stuffy anymore. Look at that! It's amazing. So anyway, we were out in the lobby. We talked with several more people and took pictures with some more of the kids, and then we went and we ate with this lady and her family, and then we went back to watch some more wrestling. And it was getting real. Okay, like I said. Last man standing tournament. So it progresses, right? Kind of at the beginning, it's pretty quick. There's like a line of people ready to go, right? But as it goes on and on, like less and less people are volunteering. And so they set a timer and they say 2 minutes, who's next? And then everyone kind of waits till about 30 seconds. And then somebody says, wow, and then they come down, right?
Okay.
And so it's just, so there's this really weird strategy of like, when do you want to go? Because you don't like once you're in the ring, you stay there until you lose.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's so you have to decide. And you could see some groups of people in the stands like talking with each other and being like, it looked like some of them were like telling their buddies like, now's the best time to go, right? It looks like what they're talking about. And it was once it gets up there, it you get to really see just how intense this wrestling is. It's brutal, right? There was several pretty nasty looking injuries, right? Like shoulder, obviously. Like some dude like slams down on your shoulder real bad. Like a lot of people got up just like really like circling, doing the shoulder circle, and a lot of people like one guy like really messed his knee up, I think somehow.
Ooh.
And another guy who looked like, I mean, I don't know how old this guy was, but he definitely like wrestles. He like wrestled in high school, or he was still in high school or something, because he was ripped. But he took a guy down, and like when the guy landed, his knee hit him in the thigh. And then he was just done, right? He couldn't stand. He tried to get back in there, and you could just tell it was just like he was basically trying to do it on one leg, and it was so bad and like, ugh. So
wow,
this just kept going and the hours. This lasted forever, right? And now we have controversy, right? Because at the end, this dude comes out of the audience, and he doesn't even go change into shorts and a t-shirt, right? Everybody like had a secret bag of shorts and a t-shirt somewhere. I don't really, because they would just like, you could see him walking out towards the bathroom, and they would come in like 5 minutes later wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Like
they knew, right?
They knew. They were just trying. Yeah, they were just prepared. This dude just like rolls up his pants and like rolls up the sleeves on his dress shirt and walks into the ring.
I'm intimidated. Just
man, he was like really lean, like muscly lean. You know what I mean, like that. And he was in there, and he took out several dudes, right? And he was older guy too, right? And then he was the second to last dude in there. And I want some justice for dress shirt guy, because the guy that beat dress shirt guy was enormous, number one, and competed in the second round of the wrestling tournament, which was for like the professional dudes. I think I want justice for dress shirt guy. Dress shirt guy did not deserve to be done like that. I talked to one of my kids, and they're like, no, that's not that weird. But all the girls sitting behind me, they also want justice for dress shirt guy. They didn't think that was very cool. So dress shirt guy, you're the real champion. Okay. You're the real. So they do this. They do a thing. They can actually give him a belt, right? Like a wrestling belt thing, right? Like WWE style, right? It's cool. Wow. Yeah. And then they say, dude comes up and they say something, and they like tap me on the shoulder and like, hey, 10 minutes, and then the heavyweights start. I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely staying for that.
Yeah. Well,
we were talking like, we're tired. How long is this going to go? Because somebody told us like this could potentially last till like 10:30. We're like, no, I don't. No, that's not.
That's why they brought out the guy to end t-shirt guy, so they could move on with this.
We got to move on, right?
Yeah.
So the over on the back row for like a long time, like somewhere in the middle of this tournament, all these dudes walked in. And like the second they walked in the door, Susan and I both were like, oh, they're here to wrestle.
It's a bit different.
Like for sure. Those guys are different, right?
We
like,
just took it up a notch.
We did. You could tell the way they walked in the room. They had like a entourage, right? They had like a group, like a camp, right? Like boxers travel with like a trainer and like stuff like they had like those dudes, right?
Oh.
And like some of the trainers were like ripped, like, oh my God, I don't want to mess with that guy. Like one of the trainers were like, man, when's he gonna wrestle? Because that dude's gonna tear somebody up. He was like, just his forearms were just eating like Popeye over here, right? Like so they were quietly sitting in the corner. And when wrestling got like real intense or the match got really good, they would all kind of stand up and look, because they were in the back, and they would stand up and they'd watch, and they'd be like, they'd cheer, give it like, yeah, all right. And then they'd sit back down, and kind of watch. I walked by one of them when I went to the bathroom, and dude was big, right? Like that. God. So anyway, heavyweight championship starts, right? They also, as they go and they change, they come in, they start to warm up in the back, and like then all of a sudden, all these people are going over and taking pictures with them, and so like, oh, those dudes are for real a big deal.
Yeah,
right? Like
they're attracting a crowd at this point.
Like a crowd. Two of them in particular, but a lot of them would take pictures. Every once in a while, everybody got spit, but there was two of them in particular that were like, those dudes are getting pictures taken with everybody, which is so you're like, okay, okay, that's a real deal right there. So they do that. They had this. Oh yeah. So before they start, they had somebody come out, and they were like, they sang this song. This singer lady came out, And she sang earlier in the day as well, during the like between some of the fashion show part and like the beginning. And so during this intermission time, she came out and she sang like a song, and like she was really good. And then whenever she came out at the end, she was singing a song, and like everybody in the crowd was singing along with her. So I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't sound like a traditional song. This lady's a big deal too, right? Like she's like secretly, I'm in the presence of an important person and nobody told me. So one of my students confirmed with me the next day, or when I got back to school the next week, that yes, this lady is like a huge deal. So I was in the presence and met one Genevieve Sui, an apparent sensation in the Chin community. She's a great singer. She's amazing. But nobody told me while I was there that she was like a super famous person. They're holding this information out for me.
Would have been nice to, see that on a bulletin or something, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I got to meet Genevieve Sui. That's cool. And hear her perform a couple times. She's really good. Amazing singer. So then the real tournament, then the big boy tournament, wrestling tournament starts. And this one is seeded. So there's 8 dudes. And it's a single elimination seeded tournament, right? Actually there were 7 dudes. So one of them got a bye. But they like just put numbers in a cup and like rolled them up on a piece of paper and dumped them on the ground, and they just picked up, 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, then the bye guy, right? So they start going. And this is like a whole different level of intensity. This is some like serious business wrestling, right? And so we watched this, and it was really good, really intense, really hardcore. These dudes are immensely strong and slightly terrifying. Really good matches. There was one that was like controversial. They couldn't decide like when he got him down. Like at the beginning, they were talking about like there's a boundary, right? And they can't go down outside the boundary, right? Because that doesn't count. So there was some controversy on like, did he land on the line? Was he on this side? Was he on the other side? So there was some of that going on. There's like judges on the corners of the ring too. So anyway, championship match comes down, right? And the two dudes that are like enormous are in the final match. And so they just had the final match. One of the guys wins. It's really good, right? So we're getting ready to leave, and one of the wrestlers, like we were talking to some of the families and stuff, and he comes up and starts talking to me. He's like, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "Dude, that was amazing." And so he starts telling me, the guy that got second place, right? He starts telling me that, yeah, this is like, really, we try to come to as many of these as we can because there's not like a lot of opportunities for this wrestling, but like we do it professionally. So, we have to do as much as we can. Last year, I was in India for the World Championships. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
Hold up. So he's been to like Europe and India and all these places all around the world doing this like at a extremely high level. Right. So, again, I was clued in by the pictures, but nobody told me that this guy is like actually world champion wrestler. Like I found a picture of him later and he has just like all these belts and stuff. So I met and talked to, his name is Byakmong Sang, right? And he is apparently a huge deal. Like really, really good, world famous, world champion, and the nicest stinking dude ever, right? He was so great. He was so cool. He just wanted to come and talk and hang out. And they live in like Indiana, in like Indianapolis, and they travel around and they go to the thing, right? And I talked to several of his like on our way out, I talked to some of his like camp guys, right? Like some of the dudes that are with him, and they were all super nice and they were talking to me about stuff. And yeah, they're talking about their schedule and like all this stuff that they're going to do. And like before he left, he like came up to me. He's like, shook my hand. He's like, man, take care, man. See you later. I was like, this is literally the nicest dude ever. And he's like a monstrous world champion belt wrestler. So there you go.
So
who knew? I met this like world famous dude just like hanging out. Hey, what's up? How's it going?
That's crazy. So this festival, is this one that is held is it a traveling festival? Are they held in multiple cities?
So I think this festival is they hold it, from what I understand. This is a festival because Chin National Day is like February 20th, I want to say. I might have got that wrong. Sorry. But so like just all over the country, there are festivals like this just around. Right. And so this one was like kind of like a Southwest Missouri regional thing. Because a lot of the people were from either our immediate area or closer to Springfield or Joplin, or kind of so it was kind of this larger area was feeding to here.
Okay, because that was my other question. Was it here because there is a particular population?
People
or
in this
is it
area.
just kind of just regionally to attract them from across the country?
I think there's when I was talking to Dr. Benjamin, he was saying that like the population in this area is increasing, right? Because just people are moving here to be with near family, right? Sure. You know, and so the population is sort of increasing, and they want to hold it to keep people together and also to educate and reach out to the community and say like, oh, hey, yeah, this is what we're about and that kind of stuff. This is who we are and this kind of thing. So I think that's why he was glad that we were there, because we were like, you know, just some random people.
It's the aforementioned community.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Hello.
I am of the community, right?
Huh.
So, yeah, because when he found out I was a teacher, he was like, "Oh, okay, that's great. Like, oh, that's great, right?" So,
sure.
That I think that he realized why I was there, right? Like, but yeah, so it's kind of like to get together and celebrate, like get people that are kind of near but like kind of spread out and in kind of different areas, bring them together in a central location to celebrate this day and do all that stuff. So that's what I think it's about. Again, they probably said, but I don't know.
again, also don't. Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, that's
super great. I did also buy a sweet traditional hat for a fundraiser. It's amazing.
Obviously.
I'll send you a picture later. It's really cool. Everybody had one, so I was like, it's like,
so
why
obviously need one to fit in,
to be cool. I did also have this random thought while I was sitting there because I was like very engrossed in the wrestling tournament, right? And so I was doing that thing where I sit in my chair and I kind of lean back and I have my arms crossed across my chest, right? And I'm like very focused on things. And I had this thought to myself, like, oh man, I wonder if this looks like not like I'm having fun, right?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Right. You're disinterested and not, yeah.
Do I look disinterested? Because I'm leaned back. I have like my ankles crossed. You know how you sit in a chair, you have your ankles crossed, you're leaned back, you got your arms crossed, you're just kind of looking. It's like, do I look disinterested? I had this like moment of self-consciousness where I thought like, oh man, am I projecting like hostility? You know, because all these people have been super nice to me all day. I don't want to be like that. And then I quickly glanced around the ring, and every single old Asian dude was sitting exactly like that watching.
Call that validation.
Yeah, I was like, okay,
that's perfect.
Never mind. Everything's good. I'm fine.
Yeah. I can resume, right?
Okay, I'll just keep going.
I'm safe.
Like,
that's perfect.
Like one of the big president dudes or whatever of like a regional association was sitting across, and he was sitting that way. So like, okay, I'm not appearing disinterested or angry. So good. I was smiling and cheering at the wrestling. So it's fine. But Yeah, that was my very adventurous Saturday, right? Very exciting. So yeah, the wrestling tournament finally got over at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, right? That's when I left. It was a good 10 hours of festivaling.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. But it's fun. You know, it was fun. So it's all good. But yeah, that was my big exciting event, right?
Yeah. I would say that is definitely exciting. I really like that a lot. I'm glad you're able to go to that because it sounds like that's a lot of partnerships and relationships, and can support your students in that way too. Former, but also be there for that. And is that something they'll hope to do every year, kind of thing?
Well, I think they do it every year because she invited me last year, but for some reason I couldn't go because we were going to be somewhere else. I don't know where we would have gone, but we don't really do things, all
of the places.
We were busy that weekend, and so she asked me again this year, and so yeah, so maybe, hopefully, we weren't too like horrible, and they'll invite us back. We'll see.
Okay, hopefully, or yet another opportunity for Oh Brother live podcast.
There you go.
On the floor, recording
live on the floor. The Chin Festival. Who knows? Live wrestling broadcasts. Here we go.
These are things. So that's really cool. Well, great.
Yeah,
well, we've
had
really
fun.
Yeah.
Tiring, confusing, but fun.
Yeah. Well, so from pumping water to driving on an interstate and being tired and eating good food, sounds like it's been eventful last week. My goodness.
It was, yeah. It was good. Good time.
Yeah.
Well, on that bombshell, and Aaron, thanks for joining, and
yes, we missed you terribly.
Good, missed you terribly.
Must be on it,
we'll see you next week. That's guaranteed. Haha.
All right.
I'm including links to all sorts of stuff. I could not find the singer, so thank you for sending over that link, because I was like, I really want to add this. So yeah, links and show notes for wrestler and singer. And
did you find him? I'm going to try to find him.
I actually did, because you had sent a photo of him before, so I scrolled up and I grabbed a couple news articles.
There you go. Yeah,
in there as well. So,
all right, so you don't have to send that again. Boom.
Yeah. Well, I got that.
All right.
Nice. I'm going to go listen to some of those songs. I think that's what I'm interested in.
Here you go. Enjoy.
Yes.
I love it.
Do this. So, yeah. Well,
she's going to be real confused when she shows up in that, tagged in that. Like, what in the world?
Yeah, like, what is going on with this? Why? What happened? It's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
It's fine, yes.
Good. Well, you gents, enjoy the rest of your fine evening. And
you as well.
We'll do this again.
All right.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Love you.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.